we've always had a very different view of privacy than some of our colleagues in the Valley. We take privacy extremely seriously. As an example, we worry a lot about location in phones. And we worry that some 14-year-old is going to get stalked and something terrible is going to happen because of our phone. And so, as an example, before any app can get location data, we don't make it a rule that they have to put up a panel and ask, because they might not follow that rule. They call our location services and we put up the panel saying, this app wants to use your location data. Is that okay with you? Every time they want to use it. And we do a lot of things like that to ensure that people understand what these apps are doing. That's one of the reasons we have the curated app store. We have rejected a lot of apps that want to take a lot of your personal data and suck it up into the cloud. A lot. So we're really old. A lot of people in the Valley think we're really old-fashioned about this. And maybe we are, but we worry about stuff like this.
But aren't you also going to be moving more into cloud-based things?
Are we going to be moving more into cloud-based things? Sure. But
and doesn't that inevitably get you? No.
Privacy means people know what they're signing up for in plain English and repeatedly. That's what it means. I'm an optimist. I believe people are smart. And some people want to share more data than other people do. Ask them. Ask them every time. Make them tell you to stop asking them if they get tired of you asking them. Let them know precisely what you're going to do with their data.
Okay.
That's what we think.
Thank you.
Thing. One of the things you were just mentioning a while ago, which we wanted to touch on before we looked at your thing, was you were saying Android should be there because it's open and it should be everywhere. One of the issues when you were saying that is that, well, of course you should use it. I was thinking, well, of course not. Who knows what's going back to Google? And one of your competitors recently said to me, Kara, you've got to write about what they're sending back in these Android phones. It's a probe in your pocket, which sounded very alien and scary and a little bit naughty. But it struck with me, and I was like, yeah, what are they sending back? What do they know? What I'm doing here? I searched, and they don't just know I'm searching at my desktop. They know where I go next, what I call next. And the fact that Google is sort of like a board collecting all this information makes me incredibly, I mean, I live with a Google executive. I'm frightened of you. So I think that's this idea of privacy and what you collect and what you have is something that it just occurs to me every time I get near an Android phone.
And look, I think that's a valid concern. Triggers for me are when one of our competitors said, Kara, you should check out. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. Obviously, there's some FUD going on there, right? Mm-hmm. The good thing about Android...
Oh, I think there was definite FUD, but I have to say it resonated for a second. Well, I was like, what are they doing?
But you do collect. Google does collect a lot of information.
You know, so here's the thing. Android's open source. Security researchers, engineers, competitors can all look at the source code and see exactly what's getting sent up into the cloud, right?
And what's getting, but we have you, luckily. So
luckily
we don't need to. We don't need to reverse engineer.
You don't have to.
You can tell us right now what's being sent up to the cloud.
You don't have to trust or I think this is a trust and verify. I will say something, and then everybody can go out and hit the source code and verify if what I said is true. There's nothing in the Android open source operating system that sends keystrokes or which applications you downloaded or which applications you use, any of that stuff up to Google.
All right, but can I ask the follow-up to that, which is there's nothing in the Android open source operating system. That was your first part of your sentence. But since we know that people can take it and do other things with it, does that mean that the finished device I get from HTC or Motorola or Samsung or from Sprint or AT&T or T-Mobile hasn't had added to it something that does that?
Not with my knowledge. I mean, it's something I wouldn't agree to either.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if there's government organizations and things like that, and you can get all paranoid and conspiracy theories, that's something I wouldn't agree to either, right? There's Google services that run on the
Now, the
device.
Google services do collect certain things.
Yep, just like on the web.
They collect them if I'm on a Mac or a PC. They collect them if I'm on an iPhone, and
When
they
you're in
collect them if I'm
Gmail,
on
you get ads
Android
based
phone.
on your Gmail stuff, and we.
But you're saying it's no different, it's no more on an Android phone than it is on somebody else's.
That's correct.
Okay.
And by the way, you should read our privacy policies, read the terms of service. It outlines exactly what we can do with that information. We do it in aggregate. We try not to target individual people. We don't have user identifying things in there. So even if we had a misbehaving piece of software, misbehaving employee.
So my Android phone isn't you may have read the Journal, has been running this, what I think, I'm a little biased, but I think it's a great series. I've had nothing to do with it, so I can say that, about privacy. And the last one they did, or one of the last ones they did, was about this fingerprinting of just everyone's PC, everyone's device. Is it possible to fingerprint an Android phone so that...
I guess. Technically it's possible. Every phone has a unique phone number. You don't even have to fingerprint it.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? So,
Okay.
So before we shut down, how do you overcome that with phone? How do you overcome that idea that, there's a possibility that Google wants more information from you? And within Google, the same thing.
More information than
Would you imagine
Apple
one
or
of your
Microsoft.
executives saying, maybe we should collect a little bit more information?
I think you just have to be transparent. And you have to let things like open source, and you have to be inspectable and things like that. And I think you do a pretty good job. Any other interpretation is either FUD or somebody just doesn't understand what the motivations are. So I think sitting down and having conversations like this, opening up software and making more of it open source and things like that, all help to solve the problem.
Okay, why don't we see this?
Yeah, why don't we see what you...